Welcome to episode 12 of Ultimate Opinion with your boy Daniel, aka D Money. On this podcast, I intend to be subjective and transparent when giving my opinion on these topics. We are actually at the season finale of season one of my podcast. And as you guys can see, I'm all decked out in my holiday gear. Christmas is around the corner. We're excited. I hope everyone has got their Christmas shopping done, got their eggnog, their ham, their roast beef, all that good stuff, cookies, all that good stuff for Christmas. Today, um, on this podcast, we will be discussing what I will be giving my top five. I'm gonna say it again, my top five Christmas movies. Some of these movies you guys might have seen, you guys might have heard of, you guys might have seen commercials of, trailers, whoop de whoop whoop. But I'm gonna probably say my list isn't the typical Christmas movie list. Just to give you guys a spoiler, Home Alone's not included. Elf. You would assume the top Christmas movies that most people watch in December, I would have. Nah, not your boy. I'm different. I walk to the beat of my own drum. And the top five movies that I'm gonna give you guys, I don't know if you guys will agree or disagree. Do I really care? I don't, because at the end of the day, this is my list. You guys are entitled to your own opinion, your own list. Of course, you can comment and give your own top five for me, so I can be like, you know what? Let me watch that Christmas movie, or you know what? That Christmas movie was actually kind of weak. So, like I said, since we're in the holiday spirit, and like I said, this is the season finale of Ultimate Opinion with the Daniel season one. We done did 12 episodes, and I'm grateful, and feel like that this podcast is it's going up. When I started this back in January, did I know how this would go? I didn't, but I just kept on doing my research, doing my topics, and getting good feedback. So, like I said, the way to wrap up season one, of course, with the holidays around the corner, of course, you have to have a Christmas episode. At least I do. So, with my top five movies, I'm gonna talk about the top five movies that I like, why I like them. I'm gonna give a brief synopsis of the movies for just in case any of you guys haven't really seen them, because some of these you probably guys haven't seen. I'm gonna give the actors and the actresses that you guys may be familiar with, and of course, I'm gonna explain why I like these movies. And like I said, of course, if you guys have your own top five, your own top 10, whatever, feel free to comment on my channel. Let me know, well, Daniel, you should have had this, you should have had this, you could have had this or that. This is what I like. I don't mind the feedback. I don't mind you guys, of course, having your own opinion and certain movies that you guys may like, of course, because like I was saying, when it comes to Christmas movies, there's really not no right or wrong answer. Everybody got their own cup of tea, but I just know after doing my research, and these top movies are the movies that I can watch every day in December over and over again. So let's get started, guys. So what I'm gonna do is start from five, four, three, two, one. So of course, five being the least of my favorite, but still a favorite. And then of course, when I get to number one, that is my all-time favorite Christmas movie. So I just want you guys who won't be confused. Like I said, I'm gonna start from five, four, three, two, one. Letting you know that five is my least favorite, but it's still my favorite, and one is my all-time favorite Christmas movie. So let's get it. So number five, A Christmas Story, 1983, a comedy movie about a 9-year-old boy named Ralphie Parker in the 1940s, who desperately wants a red rifle gun for Christmas. The film follows his quest to get the BB gun while dealing with childhood challenges like bullies in school, all while his family navigates their own unique Christmas preparations. The story is narrated by an adult Ralphie reminiscing about his childhood. The film stars Peter Billingsley has Ralphie Parker, Gene Shepard has an adult Ralphie, the voice narrator, and Darren McGavin has Mr. Parker, the old man. So, the reason why A Christmas Story is one of my favorite Christmas movies is because we've all been kids and we've all had that one particular gift, a toy that we are basically fiending of. We done gave our parents hints. We done looked through the. Okay, so I'm gonna say if you're a millennial on back, we used to have Christmas catalogs where you could go through the catalog, JC Penney's, and it'll show you different toys and different items that you could get for Christmas. Of course, a lot of Gen Zers and younger ain't gonna know about Christmas catalogs because that was a thing of the past. We've all been a kid, like I was saying, and we've all had that one particular gift, a toy that we just fiend for. Like I said, we've gave our parents hints. We told our friends, yeah, this is what I want. We've in school, when the teachers would come around and ask, make a list for Santa Claus or whatever, that would be the number one toy item we would put on our list. And that's why I like A Christmas Story so much because when you're a kid and you got your sights focused on a certain toy item, you don't want nothing or no one to stand in your way. And that's how and that's how Rafi was. Even when the teacher and his moms was just like, "Well, you'll shut your eye out." He didn't pay that no mind because he's just like, "Well, this is this BB gun that I want, and I hope I'm fortunate enough to get it." Where anybody that don't watch the movie, you've seen once Christmas comes, Christmas morning comes, him and his brother Randy, they open up a bunch of gifts. Of course, Ralph is looking around. You see submarines, you see, I want to say figures, and of course, I want to say his aunt give him that stupid pink bunny rabbit outfit that even Ralph and his dad's like, yeah, that's not cool. Ralph is just looking all around and he don't see that rifle. Well, I guess a couple hours must have passed. And Ralph is with his parents. Randy done passed out where he done either opened up every damn gift or play with every toy. And his dad's asking, how was your Christmas? Did you get everything you wanted? Woo woo woo. And Ralph's like, yeah, it was okay, whatever. Then he, kind of signals him to go to the corner of the room. And of course, he goes there and there's that BB gun. Ralphie opens it excitedly. The mom's looking kind of concerned, like, because of course, most moms, when it comes to certain toys or weapons like pocket knives, swords, or guns, most moms and women feel a type of way about their kid playing with stuff like that. Where being a dad, if my son wore something like that, it wouldn't be no big deal. And that's what Mr. Parker was just like. I've had one when I kid. It wasn't no big deal. Ralphie goes, open it, put the BBs in and all that. Well, I guess a few minutes later, he goes outside. He got like this bullseye where like he's aiming at. And of course, like I said, Randy still passed under the tree where he done passed out. The mom is in the kitchen cooking Christmas dinner. The dad is in the living room reading paper, and Ralph is outside, trying to get his shoot on. Man, this guy, the first shot, go to shoot. I don't know what happened. like the BB gun or ricochet, shoots him in the face. He falls back. He breaks his glasses, and all he can hear is what throughout the whole movie, the teacher and the mom saying, "You'll shoot your eye. You'll shoot your eye." And he was just like, "Oh my god, I shoot my eye out." Granted, not knowing that he really didn't, he kind of like grazed his eye, but he fell back. His glasses fall out. He can't really see. He of course he's trying to find his glasses, steps on his glasses, breaks some wooty woo woo. To make a long story short, he pretends to like be hurt, so he cries. His mom comes out there. They look at his glasses, and wooty woo woo. But the point of this movie is that with your childhood, um, toys and items that you crave, you are going to no matter what it is. Like I said, you're gonna fiend for it. You're gonna ask for it. You're gonna beg for it. And that's why, like I said, I like this movie so much because, like I said, we've all been a kid. Like I said, when I was a kid, I loved wrestling figures. I loved Hot Wheel cars. So, like, I would have done anything for a Hot Wheel car or wrestling figure. Granted, I must admit, I wasn't that kid that believed in Santa Claus. I've always, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't believe the whole coming down the chimney, wooty woo woo, none of that. So I already knew that, mom and dad had something to do with that. So I just made a list just to humor my mom. And I was just like, yeah, I like these wrestling figures. And, granted, I didn't have to write a theme like how Rafi had to do. I just told my mom, look, I just want some wrestling figures, a wrestling ring. Cool. But that's why I like Christmas Story because, like I said, we've all been kids, and then it's always been that one specific gift or that toy that we've strived to get, and it's almost like an obsession because it's just like, God, if we could just get this toy, that would be the best thing ever. So that's why I love A Christmas Story. My number four favorite Christmas movie is The Best Man Holiday 2013. The film centers around a group of college friends who reunite after 15 years for Christmas, for a Christmas gathering at the crib of Lance and Mia. While there, they deal with rivalries, past romances, and new challenges. Most surprisingly, the revelation of Mia dying with cancer. The group eventually comes together to support Mia's peoples during her final days. Harper and Robin have their own baby in Lance's SUV on the way to the hospital, and the two realize the importance of their friendship over past grievances. The film stars Tay Diggs has Harper Stewart, Sanaa Lathan has Robin Stewart, Nia Long has Jordan Armstrong, Boris Chestnut has Lance Sullivan, and Terrence Howard has Quentin Q. Spivey. So the reason why I like Best Man Holiday is if you guys are familiar with the late 1990s, there was a movie Best Man, of course, with Morris Chestnut and Monica Calhoun's character, Mia and Lance, college sweethearts who get married. And of course, Tay Diggs' character, Harper, who is a writer, uh, writes a book about his friends. It's actually like in code because he gives them different names, but the friends aren't stupid. They know who each character is. And he reveals where he had actually slept with Mia, which I never understood if her and Lance was not together at the time or if they were, because of course, with Lance being a big football star on campus, he had lots of girls, lots of groupies, whatever. And I don't know if Mia at the time broke it off with him or if it was really unclear about if him and Mia were still together or whatever. So of course, if you've seen The Best Man, Once Lance finds out that Harper and me have been together, he basically beats the hell out of Harper in the hotel during the bachelor party, calls out the wedding, of course, Harper, his friends, and of course Now Lathan's at the time she was his girlfriend on the best man. They of course try to get the couples back together, and Harper, who's the best man, of course, talks to Lance. Lance, who's a religious guy, but of course he's one of those guys that he doesn't practice where he preaches. He's God this, God that, scripture this, scripture that, but of course fornicating, doing this and that. So, like I said, he's one of those guys that doesn't practice where he preach. But one day, Harper reading a bunch of scriptures, and that finally gets Lance to forgive Harper, and they go on with the wedding. But 15 years later, they all gather at Lance and Mia's house. Like I said, Lance is this big time running back for the New York Giants, and Mia decides to get the whole crew back for Christmas. Of course, it's drama, all that goes on. And I guess the reason why I like this movie is because if you have went to school or just worked with certain people and you guys build this relationship, uh, we all of them probably have friends like that. That I'm not gonna say are drama people, but when you get a bunch of people together, especially if you guys have went to school together, like it's gonna be drama, especially years that done pass. And that's why I actually like this movie because, like, it even at the end of the day, all the drama and BS, their friendship and their bond still keeps everybody together. Uh, of course, spoiler if you guys haven't seen Best Man Holiday, Mia is, she's dying of cancer, and there's nothing else that the doctors could do. So that's why she got everybody together, basically for like a goodbye celebration. Nobody really knows that until basically towards the end of the movie, and it's sad because, like I said, I'm gonna give another spoiler. If you guys haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. But Mia does passes at the end of the movie. I'm gonna say it's probably the day after Christmas. I'm gonna say it's December 26th when she actually passes. They had that funeral, the celebration, and all that. And like I said, this movie is basically about Harper and Lance rebuilding that trust and that friendship that was damaged on the first best man when Lance found out that Harper and Mia have been intimate with each other. Even after Mia and Lance are married, he still holds this grudge and this spite towards Harper. And, when he first arrived to the house, Lance is being so condescending, so sarcastic and nasty towards Lance, where it shows that he hasn't really gotten over the fact that his best friend and that his best man was with his girlfriend or fiance at the time. So, of course, at the end, like I said, Robin and Harper have their baby, and I want and they actually named because it's a little girl, adorable, and they actually named her Mia, and that's where you could see where Harper and Lance's relationship is. They're starting to build something that they had back in college, because Harper was on some sneak shit and he didn't inform Lance that he was actually writing a biography on Lance Sullivan's career. And Lance didn't know that, but he was being, like I said, on some sneak shit, asking him certain questions and all that. But at the end of the movie, another spoiler if you guys haven't seen it, you know, uh, Lance is okay with him writing his biography, and I'm letting him know. I want to say he said God, family, and football was his priorities, Lance's, and that's I think was the title of the book. So, Best Man Holiday, I would recommend watch it. Like I said, it's sad, it's funny, but it shows how a group of friends might interact with each other, over the years and all that. So that's why that was actually one of my favorite Christmas movies. My third favorite Christmas movie is The Family Man. Came out in 2000. Jack's lavish, fast paced lifestyle changes on Christmas night when he stumbles into a store holdup and disarms the gunman. He wakes up the next morning in bed laying next to Kate, his college sweetheart, who he left 13 years ago prior to pursue his career, and to the shocking discovery that his former life doesn't exist. As he goes through the day to day alternate suburban life, Jack finds himself at a crossroads where he must choose between his high power career and lavish lifestyle or the female he loves. The film stars Nicolas Cage as Jack Campbell, Tia Leone as Kate Reynolds, Jack Campbell's ex wife, girlfriend, whatever, and Don Cheadle as Cash. So, The Family Man is one of those stereotypical movies about the rich, wealthy man that got it all, and behind closed doors looks happy, looks content, but really there's something deep down in him missing, and he puts up this front about, oh yeah, my life is good, I got the clothes, the cars, of course, any type of woman I want, the career, but deep down, uh, he's really not happy. And with the movie, Don Cheadle's character, I think he plays almost like a guardian angel to Nicolas Cage's, character Jack Campbell, where he lets him know, like, dude, like, you're really not happy. Like, yeah, granted, you got all this material stuff, but like, you still, there's still so much more to life when it comes to material things. And that's what the movie is, like I said, basically, Jack Campbell wakes up and then he's in his suburban life, he got like this three-bedroom house, this minivan, and of course, his ex-wife, well, his ex-girlfriend that he had left 13 years prior, that's his wife. And like I want to say he works in like some mechanic. His wife's like a stay-at-home mom. He got like two kids. And it's it it gives an insight, like I said, to priorities. And yes, Jack did leave when he was younger to to pursue his career, but Cash gets some insight to what your life could have been, and all you had to do was just be patient, and that was that career that you had left your ex girlfriend for. All you had to do was just wait and be patient, and it was coming to you anyway. And that's why I really like the movie, because I think a lot of people during Christmas time, like I said, you see certain people who you think are wealthy or got this and that. On the outside, they look like, oh yeah, I got it all together. I'm happy. I don't need a wife, a husband, kids. As long as I got my career, my money, I'm good. Where deep down, they won't let you know, like, yeah, I would love to have those things, but I chose a different path, and this is what I think I want, not knowing deep down, they know in their heart of hearts, nah, this doesn't make me happy. And that's what I like about this movie. It just gives the insight to wealthy people aren't always happy and aren't content. And now my number two favorite Christmas movie. I actually like this whole franchise. A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas, 2011. Harold and Kumar are estranged but reunite on Christmas Eve when Kumar accidentally burned down Harold's father-in-law's prized Christmas tree. The two embark on a crazy journey through New York City to find a new tree, encountering chaotic situations, including the Russian mob and even Santa Claus, all while trying to mend and restore their friendship. The film stars John Cho as Harold Lee, Cal Penn as Kumar Patel, and Neil Patrick Harris as a fictionalized version of himself. So if you guys done watch the Harold and Kumar franchise, those guys are just a bunch of stoners. They love to get high, and that's all they basically want to do: get high, get high, get high. Well, on the third one, um, Harold done actually got married, which is funny because Harold is of Korean descent, but he actually marries, I want to say, a Mexican woman, and her dad is just like, oh my, like he's just like the stereotypical Mexican. I'm not gonna say he was like gang, but like he's the intimidating Mexican. Talks about the past and what he's been into. Woo 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 woo. Which kind of, it doesn't intimidate her, but you it just shows that uh he Harold goes to the fully lengths to impress his father-in-law. Well, Kumar, who still hasn't grown up, of course, his girlfriend Vanessa, she done broke up with him because all Kumar wants to do is really get high. Like the movie starts with him going to Santa Claus at the mall. Santa Claus is actually his drug guy. After he done, you know, plays Santa Claus at the mall, with kids telling them, asking them what they want for Christmas, woo doo woo woo. These two guys go to the parking garage. That Santa Claus opened up his trunk. There's a whole lot of drug, paraphernalia, familiar and all that shit. So obviously Kumar hasn't grown up. He hasn't matured yet. All he still does is get high, get high, get high. Matter of fact, I want to say, I think he was actually kicked out of medical school for that. So, of course, his ex girlfriend Vanessa comes and just like, you know what, I'm pregnant. So that gives like Kumar some sense of, okay, I guess now it's time for me to grow up and mature and start trying to do better. I want to say he enrolls back in medical school and all that, but the whole movie is about Harold and Kumar, because of course, Harold and Kumar at one time did, they were roommates. But once Harold got married and had a wife, he moved out. Excuse me, and Harold receives a package. And then Kumar actually takes us to Harold's house. That's how the Christmas tree gets burnt down because it's a joint. That's what the package is a joint, for them to get high. And of course, Kumar burns the Christmas tree down. But the whole thing of the movie was it was almost like some supernatural stuff. It was basically Santa Claus sending that joint to Kumar so he could take it to Harold so those two could get back to being best friends. Because the movie seems like once Harold got married and I think he had this nice job in an office, he basically cut off Kumar and basically became like this arrogant asshole, the suit wearing, and hanging out with other friends, uh, and basically distancing himself from Kumar or his past. And that's what Kumar realizes, like, damn, like, dude, you know, basically changed on me. And like I said, throughout the movie, they have these adventures. They run into old old friends back in the past. Of course, like I said, Neil Patrick Harris have a cameo, which is hilarious. And of course, the guys in back to White Castles, where the first movie was, Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, which is hilarious. So, like I said, I like that movie because, granted, uh, these guys go through a bunch of adventures, but they were actually brought together by Santa Claus through the through the thing that they like to do is get high, with the joint, and that's what I kind of like the movie. It's very comical, and like I said, when you guys get a chance, check it out. Like I said, and as a matter of fact, it was actually in 3D, which is really dope because I actually went to go see it when it came out. And like I said, if you guys check it out, it is hilarious. Like I said, all the adventures, all this within the span of a night that they had to go through just to get uh Harold's Christmas tree, that his father-in-law loved. It's just a whole bunch of funny stuff. And so my number one favorite Christmas movie of all time. I know this is gonna be controversial, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't even seen this. They might not even heard of it. This Christmas, 2007, at Christmas time, family matriarch Madeira Whitfield gets together her large brood for the first time in 4 years. However, the family tie shows signs of strain when various secrets comes to light, including Marine Claude's military status, Quentin's debts, and teenage baby's secret plan to become a singer. The film stars Loretta Devine as Shirley Ann Madeira Whitfield, the mother, Idris Elba as Quentin Whitfield, the older brother, Regina King as Lisa Whitfield Moore, the oldest sister, Lauren London as Melanie Whitfield, the baby sister, Chris Brown as Michael Baby Whitfield, the baby of the family. So the reason why I like this Christmas is because if you have a large family with kids, uh, different personalities, different characteristics, and the fact that this family, okay, so Loretta Devine's character's Madeira. She's actually I don't know if I'm gonna say she's separated from their dad. She's involved with this Deacon Joe Black, played by the marvelous Delroy Lindo, marvelous actor. Um, and the kids know that of course these two are in an exclusive relationship, but it's still like it's still this bond that she has with what they call him Senior, Quentin Senior. Uh, he was a musician, I guess, that traveled and wasn't ever home, didn't help out with the kids, whatever. And Madeira, she still holds this bond to him. I want to say every year he sends like Christmas cards during Christmas time and all that, but she still hasn't let go. And I want to say every year for Christmas, her and Joe actually live together, but she puts on this facade where they don't. And around Christmas time, when she know the family's gonna get together, she put all of Joe's clothes in like this tub, and like he has to either go stay at the hotel or whatever. And then he's just like, Madeira, like, how long are we gonna keep this up? Like, the kids are getting older, and like they know that like we're together. Like, why are you doing this? Uh, and that's what the whole movie's about. Like I said, it's just a whole bunch of secrets. Uh, but at the end, of course, the family gets together. Um, no, they are. I'm gonna say they are your stereotypical black family. You know, they cook, they eat, they do the Soul Train line, they go to church. But this Christmas is a good movie. Nothing like I said. It's nothing dramatic about it. It's all just a bunch of comedy, and like I said, just a bunch of sibling rivalry, jealousy. It's just a funny Christmas movie that I would suggest for you guys. Black or white, just go watch it. Anybody that got a large family, I think you could definitely relate to this movie. And like I said, the different dynamics when it comes to these characters and all that. So that was my top five Christmas movies. Let me go through them again in order. A Christmas Story, Best Man Holiday, The Family Man, A Rare Harold and Kumar Christmas, and This Christmas. Like I was saying, when it comes to Christmas movies, there's no right or wrong answer. Uh, and if I had to do a honorable mention, it'd probably be Elf. Starring Will Ferrell. I would say Elf because, of course, the dynamics of that movie. With him being an adult in tights and all that, and like I said, if I had to do honorable mention, it would be Elf. But when it comes to Christmas movies, like I said, this might not be your cup of tea. You might have your own. But of course, like I'm saying, I would love for you guys to comment your favorite Christmas movies and all that. But when it comes to Christmas movies, every Christmas movie got its own story and dynamic. And like I was, breaking down about each of these Christmas movies, at the end, the point is family, loved one, relatives, relationships. Because during the holiday season, that's what it's all about, being with family, friends, and relatives. And there is a lot of people, unfortunately, that are going to be spending Christmas by themselves. Uh, and it doesn't matter the circumstance. You got some people who are estranged from families. Um, you got some people in the nursing homes, foster care, home of the innocent. So like, there is going to be so many people this year and going forward that are going to be spending Christmas by themselves. And if you're blessed and fortunate enough to have family and relatives, you have to embrace that because everybody is not going to have that. And that's what each of these movies shows, that even though we're estranged or we might not have talked in a couple years, like when Christmas time comes around, you are still my best friend and just still my loved one, my family. And that's what, like I said, the holiday season is about. Spending time with friends, loved ones, and family. And um being blessed knowing that you've got loved ones that want to reach out, that want to be there for you. And like I said, it's a blessing because everyone doesn't have that. Also, I think we get in this idea about gifts, presents. People stress out this time of year. You don't need to do that. Don't 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 stress yourself out for the perfect gift, for the perfect present. You don't need to do that. You need to take a time out and just know that, okay, what is the true meaning of Christmas? Wh- let me just take time to myself and just see what the true meaning of Christmas is. And that's our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ's birthday. Yes, the presents, the gifts, and all that's fine. It is to let so you can show loved ones and friends and family that this is how much I care about you. But you can't forget the message and like what Christmas is really all about. And I think that's where some people miss the boat. They get so caught up in the advertisements, the commercials, where they don't realize like just having a family is Christmas. Because, like I was saying, some people don't have that. Knowing that, okay, me and my peoples, we're going to cook this, cook that. Some people literally are going to, when you see all these shelters and all these homeless people, they're going to have to go somewhere for Christmas for somebody to feed them. And that's what I want you guys to think like during this time of year, you should not be stressing. You need to be thanking God for what you got, for what you have, and what you're going to be receiving. Because there are thousands of people out there on the streets, in nursing homes, kids, in foster care, and home of innocence that, or matter of fact, sick kids, uh, locally, Cozair. There are going to be some kids Christmas time who are going to be in the hospital. And that's why all this material stuff don't matter. And and I hope we can get to a point to where we can just appreciate loved ones and friends because tomorrow is not promised. We see every day young people, old people, people are being killed, people are just being exterminated. You just do not know. And it's a blessing when you have a family and people that care. And like I was saying, all this material BS, that should not matter. It shouldn't. It shouldn't matter. I since we're on um the season finale of season one, I want to start this podcast November of last year after the election. Um, I wanted people to have a voice to agree to disagree. That's why I came up with ultimate opinion with Daniel because I've got my opinion, but I want you to have yours with no judgment, no stigma, none of that. And that's why I started this podcast because I wanted a platform for people in my audience. I don't care what your race is, gender, sexuality, political affiliation. I just want you to have an opinion to stick with that. That's one thing. I don't want nobody to ever feel like they're judged to feel and think a type of way. If you've got a difference of opinion, it's okay to voice it, but you just stand on that and you be firm about it. Don't sway. You never sway. You stick to your guns and you stick to your freaking opinion. And that's why I came with this podcast. Because me, I'm always do that. If you agree or disagree, I'm going to always stand on business. I'm going to always voice my opinion, and you can leave it or take it. I don't care. And that's how I want you guys to be. That's why I got this platform for you guys. No judgment. No more, no matter what the topic is, what the subject is. I want people to feel free and feel like you can voice your opinion with no judgment. And that's why I did it for you guys. And I really hope with the topics and the subjects that I've had all through this year, I really hope they've been informative. They've been inspirational. You know, of course, I had my brothers, my mom. I've had people on with close family members, giving their ideas and their perspectives. And of course, I've had topics, benefits of being a side piece. Can Jonathan Majors have a bounce back? Tupac and Biggie. At the end of the day, I'm like I said, I'm giving my opinion. And like I said, I would love to hear from you guys. That's all about that's what this is about. It's informative. You know, you let me know what you want to hear. You let me know how you feel. And that's why I really hope that season one has really been informative for you guys. Cause when I do my research, I take time. I make sure my sources are correct. I make sure that the information that I'm giving you guys is on point. It's up to par, and like I said, that everything that I'm saying would will have some clout to you guys. I love what I do, and if you would have asked me a few years ago, well, Daniel, you what about a podcast? I don't know because people that know me love I love to talk, I love to do research, but some of these topics I know that I do cover can be controversial, and for another spoiler, in season two, there are going to be some topics that I know for a fact are going to be controversial. It's gonna piss off a whole lot of people. It's gonna make people feel some type of way, but I don't care. I don't. Uh, I've got a voice, and I'm going to let it be heard. Agree or disagree. That's just how it's gonna be, and that's what I want you guys to feel like. Uh, that you don't have to sit there like this. You don't have to. If there's something that you see, that you hear, and it's nonsense, call it out. If there's something that you feel should be done, call it out. Let your voice be heard. And that's what season one of Ultimate Opinion with Daniel was all about. Me talking about certain topics that I felt like should have been brought to light, and I was saying the quiet part out loud. And in season two, best believe I'm coming much more harder. And like I said, it might be a whole lot of clapback, a whole lot. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I won't be silenced. I'm gonna say how I feel in a respectful way. And like I said, you can agree or disagree. But with that being said, I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode of my Christmas. And as you can see, I'm all Christmas now. I know that's their team naughty, but sometimes your boy, sometimes I'm a good boy. Sometimes I am. I'm gonna say 50% of the time I'm naughty, 50% of the time I'm nice. I'm gonna just say that. But I guess naughty will be more of my repertoire. But like I was saying, I hope today's episode was informative. I hope you guys learned a lot. And like I said, if you guys got your own top 5 Christmas movies, of course, comment and just let me know what you guys is. And like I said, I've hope season 1 opened up a whole lot of eyes to let you guys know I'm not going nowhere. That I will still be letting my voice be known, and you let your voice be known. And I just want to say that I hope everyone has a happy New Year, a Merry Christmas, be safe, enjoy family, friends, all that good stuff, because that's what you deserve. That's what you definitely deserve. And season 1 has been a joy with you guys. I love it. Again, my name is Daniel, aka D Money. And until next time, be blessed, be loved, be safe. I'll see you in 2026.